Well, believe it or not, we've come to the final episode of our series. I hope that you have found these 30 episodes helpful in bringing health to your teams and your ministry. Our goal is to be more effective in reaching our community with the gospel. Now, in this final episode, we'll discuss the strategies of how we can actually do this. As I mentioned last time, we do not necessarily need in-depth research study of our community, but just understand the basics of the community in which we live is essential in order to be effective in reaching that community. Most of us really admire people who are hard workers. However, we also know that hard work becomes more efficient and productive when combined with working smarter. Demographic research is a process that takes time and effort, but also can lead to working smarter. In the context of church planting or designing a new ministry, demographic research can help ministry teams discover the bridges that link the church or ministry to those who will be receptive to encountering the gospel of Jesus. Planting churches and designing ministries takes commitment and hard work. The purpose of this section is to help us to sharpen our focus on the task before us, enabling us to not just work hard, but also to work smart. Instead of getting all caught up in the facts and the figures of the demographics, our goal should be to maintain the mindset of building relational bridges into the communities in which God has placed us. Now, there are basically two ways of defining our communities. They can be defined by geographic location or by a network of relationships. Geographically, God has placed us in communities defined by certain locations. Few communities these days are truly homogeneous, though, however, and so most local churches are located in neighborhoods that are made up of peoples from Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth, all in one place. The realities of the neighborhood will have an influence on how we design ministry. In order to help us determine this, there's a series of questions that can help us determine the makeup of our community. And some of this information may be common knowledge, but to get answers to some of these questions, you may need to do a bit of research. So here are a few questions to ask when developing a community profile. For starters, what is the population of the community? Is it growing or shrinking? If it is growing, who is moving in and why? Now, if it's shrinking, why are they leaving and why? How is the population distributed according to gender and age groups, and what family structures are represented in the population? Now, when it comes to education and economics, what is the breakdown of the educational levels in your community? What is the economic status of the citizens? Generally speaking, how many status levels can you identify? And who are the major employers of people in your community? And what kind of employment might the citizen typically be engaged in? Now, ethnically, we need to ask what specific ethnic or language groups are in the community. What percentage of the population do these groups represent? Now, are these groups exclusive, or have they been assimilated somewhat in the general community? Can you identify points of assimilation? See, related to this, what religious groups are active in your community, and to what extent are they influential? Is their influence generally perceived as positive or negative? So now, when it comes to religious matters, what are the existing attitudes and preferences of those in your community? Is there a discernible attitude towards the church or organized religion? How would you describe that attitude? Are there political preferences or attitudes present? How would you describe these? And finally, what are some of the social and moral values evident in your community? What community needs or strengths are created as a result of these values? Okay, that's a lot of questions, to be sure, but they should prime the pump to get you moving in the direction of identifying the makeup of the community in which your existing church or new church plant is embedded. Now, secondly, God has put us in communities defined by relationships. Who are the people in our community connected with throughout the week? Do they spend most of their week commuting outside of the community? What are the existing relationship bonds? See, a person's family is a key consideration, particularly in some cultures, as to if and how they respond to the gospel. The bottom line is that individuals in every community already have existing relationships, and these provide existing relational bridges for the local church. Some of these relationships include families and extended families, friendship networks and workplace relationships. There are also existing social networks and community service involvement, as well as just the casual neighborhood connections. See, many of the questions used to learn about the people living in the geographic location of the church can also be used to investigate the nature of the people within that relational community of the church. Again, a deep dive is not necessary usually. We just need to observe, ask the right questions, and be aware of the lay of the land.
This series is based upon our MCNet coaching and ministry guides. There are basically 2 parts to the series, 12 episodes that cover the 5 sections of the coaching guide and 18 episodes that cover the 8 workshops of the ministry guide. As a team, we have had the opportunity to serve in various parts of the world over the last decades using these materials to equip leaders and coach ministry teams throughout our ministry coaching network. These ministry team workshops in episodes 13 to 30 are intended to equip members of the body as they serve on ministry teams. The importance of mentoring, team building, and multiplication strategies are discussed here, and these workshops coincide with the leadership team coaching in episodes 1 to 12, which cover big picture issues that affect the whole ministry. Each workshop has several episodes and can be listened to independently, though if you have the time, it would be helpful to listen to all of them, as they are connected and build upon each other. A couple of the workshops have only one introductory episode here, as the topic is covered in greater depth in another of Phil's podcast series, for which you will find links below. You can also check out our Christian Leadership Institute training program. This is a unique approach to ministerial training based on a competency-focused mentorship. The free materials for this series, as well as the coaching and ministry guides, are available from the links in the description box below. Just as many others have, we are sure you will find our other Leadership Matters podcast series helpful for you and your ministry.
As we wrap up, let me offer a few more thoughts regarding getting a lay of the land. As I mentioned before the break, much of the information relevant to designing ministry is right in front of us. So the place to begin is with personal observation and assessment of the community. This can be done through observational prayer walks or driving if you are covering a large region. Also, don't underestimate the benefit of casual conversations with people in the neighborhood, which is why it is important for church planning teams to be living in part of the community which they are seeking to reach. There can also be targeted conversations or interviews with community leaders or longtime residents. During this process, it is important to record relevant data, attitudes, and preferences observed during interaction with family, friends, and coworkers. You can also gain access and use other community surveys, most of which are online. Now, during the stage of ministry design, there should be planned times for ministry teams to share observations, to brainstorm ideas, and discuss and pray regarding one another's perceptions. This is the low-tech approach to gathering demographic data, and it's very valuable. Now, the high-tech approach using technology can provide additional insights based on demographic information. Of course, lots of statistical information is readily available via the internet. Anyone can view a statistical profile of any community in the country. The information provided by national research will answer many of the questions suggested here. Another great source of information are the municipal and community web pages posted by the communities themselves. Even though many of these sites read more like a shameless commercial advertisement, they do provide a lot of relevant information. Another option is to use a demographic research company to provide professional, produced, and analyzed reports. And some organizations provide these services specifically for churches as well as private and public sector clients. So ministry design then becomes effective when we are able to combine an honest assessment of the skills, gifts, and capabilities of our team and the church and match them to the sectors of the community with which we realistically expect to connect. There are many ways that we can use the demographic information we glean. For starters, we can discover potential relational bridges into the community. We could also use it to set ministry goals that are realistic and relevant in the community. It can help us employ a ministry style that recognizes the capabilities of the church and takes into consideration those with whom we are building relational bridges. See, knowing our community will also help us pray knowledgeably for both the people we are connected to and those we have yet to connect with. It will help us identify the continuum of members in the community, from those in our Jerusalem, our Judea, our Samaria, and beyond. And it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, this whole research process should be done prayerfully, with relationships building as a goal. Our focus should be to discern the needs of the community with the objective of being a church who is meaningfully engaging in the world with the gospel of Jesus. Well, that's been a bit of a whirlwind tour of the workshops from our coaching and ministry guide. The whole goal of these teachings in this podcast series is to help ministry and church teams understand and implement principles that will produce healthy ministries. As a ministry and coaching network, our experience has been that healthy churches and organizations will naturally reproduce. These materials can be used to bring about health to an existing church or be a catalyst in helping in the formation and planting of new ministries and churches. I began this journey with you by providing 12 episodes that are focused on equipping your core leadership team, the people that are carrying the full load and responsibility for the ministry. In those episodes, the goal was to help align values and ministry behaviors and the importance of a shared vision in order to move forward and grow. Along the way, we looked at how to navigate change and introduce the ministry evaluation tools, the ministry flowchart, in the organizational life cycle. In addition to these resources for the core team, the next 18 episodes from 13 to 30 provided materials based upon our 8 MCNet workshops, which our team has taught around the world in various cultural and church settings. Leadership foundations, biblical foundations, developing others 1 and 2, and team building, change dynamics, and finally global and local strategies. The goal of these workshops is to have every member serving in the ministry be on the same page as the core leadership team. Their purpose is to be a tool to help us understand the importance of healthy leadership and the role of mentoring and reproducing and releasing others so the ministry can grow in depth and breadth. And the wineskin for this reproduction is the process of mentoring based on Jesus' servant leadership model. We then discussed how we can build a team and bring about change so that our teams can develop a local outreach strategy as part of God's big mission to reach all people. Now, not everyone attending or even serving in the church needs to know how the sausages are being made behind the scenes. But if you're going to have an effective ministry and organization, there better be those somewhere who understand this process of leadership and growth. And I hope this series has helped you and your team move in that direction. This workshop is part of our team coaching series created to assist those serving in the body of Christ. The goal is to help you and your team grow healthy, multiplying churches. This workshop corresponds to leadership team coaching in episodes 1 to 12. Now, the complete workshop, Local Strategies, is covered here in episodes 28 to 30 and is available as a download. This workshop is part of the Coach's Playbook discussed in Section 5 of the Leadership Team Coaching, which we saw in episode 12. You can also follow the links to the free resources for this workshop, which include the Church Planners and Leaders Competency Assessment. And don't forget to check out some of my other podcasts, such as the Multicultural Teams and Fivefold Ministry podcast series, which I discuss these topics in greater depth. Well, it looks like we've run out the clock again. I hope this series will help you and your teams form healthy ministries and establish new ones. The world is definitely in need of this good news, and we as the church, even though imperfect, are ambassadors of hope and meaning. My prayers of this material will help you and accomplish this.